How's it going, everyone? Today I have another handheld video. So I know a lot of you are subscribed because you have seen like my Thor videos. So I'm getting back into it today with the Android handhelds, and so I have these three that I'm going to be comparing against each other. Um, I mean, they're not all Android, but they are running, like custom firmware and things like that. So today is going to be about these micro, macro sort of handhelds that are, just tiny in nature. And I'm going to be talking about what I like as my everyday carry. And so these are the three I've tried lately and kind of had set up and everything. Sorry, my brick always turns off, but I'll fix it another time. So I wanted to start with the smallest because this is also the first one I tried when I thought about what I wanted to carry around as my everyday carry. And so here is the RG Nano. So this was initially sold, I believe, in 2023, but it was discontinued after a short while. And so they aren't making any like new units of this at the time. So I ended up having to get this off of eBay, and it's starting to be a little bit upcharged because the hardware is getting harder to find. But it wasn't too bad, but definitely a little bit pricier for these days, and it's also the tiniest handheld. But what's cool is like you have this little keychain. It's about small enough to fit on my keys. But the only thing is like this is some sort of like metal, maybe aluminum or something, but it also makes it quite heavy. So I tried having it on my key ring with all my other keys, and honestly, like it's pretty makes it pretty hefty, and it was kind of getting stuck in my pocket a little bit, and you know, it wasn't too good of an experience, but this thing would be perfect if you have like a backpack or something you like to carry around, or maybe like a, I don't know, some sort of like travel bag or something. This would be like perfect to have around. But if you have this on like a travel thing, it's kind of hard to just play it off the key ring like you could if you have it on your keys. So that makes it a little tough for the everyday carry in terms of like this size. Like if you buy something this size, you want it to be able to be used like on keyring and everything. So like I would love to see if they could do like a plastic updated like 2026 model of this. But yeah, those are pretty much my gripes in terms of its physicality for carrying it around every day. But another thing is just, oh, sorry about that. Another thing is just like how compact it is. It's actually a little bit more compact than I was thinking when I initially saw it. Initially saw like some reviews for it, and then pictures as well. But like, can't be understated just how tiny this D-pad is. And I'm a pretty big, like 200-pound man, so this is kind of hard for my thumbs. I could probably make it work with the D-pad, even though it isn't too comfortable or anything. But like the buttons are so tiny, like it's really hard to press into it and do like the correct inputs for what I want it to do. But the nature of this device is that you're really just playing it for a couple minutes when you're out and about, or just have it on your keyring or something. So you're not supposed to really be playing it for hours on end or something like that at home. I mean, you can, but it would just be a bad time probably, unless you have smaller hands. Um, but yeah, it's not comfortable, but it's extremely impressive with what it's able to run and everything. I didn't test any PlayStation games on it, but I was just playing like GBA and Game Boy Color and stuff, and it's pretty impressive. So I mean, I guess it can't run PlayStation because it comes preloaded with some of these, but I didn't really. test out for that purpose because the D-pad is so small. I pretty much just wanted to use it for Pokemon. And honestly, Pokemon looks pretty good on it for the Game Boy Color. But if you go to Game Boy Advanced, it's really tough with how the scaling is. But like honestly, Game Boy is very much passable. Like I could actually like play this for a hot minute um every now and then, but I don't really want to because the screen is so very tiny, and I knew that going in, but it's even tinier than well, it's even tinier when you actually use it instead of seeing it on a video. So yeah, so hopefully Nintendo isn't getting too mad at that and watching this, if they ever do. But yeah, just a quick little demonstration. But other than that, like the OS is pretty good. It's snappy. Like there's a lot of power under here, but yeah, in terms of portability and everything, like it has too many gripes for me. Um, so instead of that, I bought the Miu Mini Flip version 4 as kind of like an upgrade to this. So I initially started with this, and then I bought this um, because I was like, well, I like the one-handed play, like if you're playing Pokemon or something like that, playing like a turn-based RPG or anything like that. I like that I can use it in one hand. Like it's a lot bigger and wider, but it still can get the job done. Just like using it out of my pocket and everything. It does take up a lot more space, but it's actually feels so much lighter. It might just have to do with the weight distribution because it's so much more compact. But yeah, this is much more like pleasant to carry around. So let's see if I can get this turned on because it has auto shutdown and that kind of feature. But it runs on Onion OS, and I was playing some Pac-Man World. But yeah, let me just go out to the OS and kind of show that. So yeah, this is so much more comfortable for like my big old hands. And one thing is I think my A button is actually like getting stuck. Like there's something got under here and it's been causing some problems, which literally like just happened. Even though I last used it like 3 days ago and it was running fine. But yeah, that's one thing about this is like the build quality of the buttons itself and like the D-pad. The D-pad is fine. It's much better than this little tiny one, but uh, it's not perfect. And so let's see. My A button works. It's just like it's like getting stuck, kind of like you can feel it like being not as pressable compared to the other ones, which is a shame. I don't even know what happened to it because it's been on my desk for a few days while I've tried out my other handhelds, and that's a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's like if like that's just me being unlucky or just like a build quality thing. But yeah, it kind of just goes into my other point. Just like the buttons don't feel very good when you're pressing it down. Like at least these buttons feel like fine on this one. It just feels like this is like a mini M&M and this is like a big M&M kind of thing. But like this feels like a quality product and build for its size. Like got the metal. It has good buttons and build quality. It's just too tiny for being a big guy and having big hands. But it feels like a premium product. And in terms of power, I mean, it seems like it can run pretty much up to PlayStation as well. So I didn't encounter any emulation errors or anything in my limited playtime. But yeah, I was playing this and I was having a lot of fun with it. Um, for a while, I tried it out going outside and just having it at like a cafe and just pulling out and playing and just being outside in the world and just having a quick little game session. And it works good for that. And GBA looks a lot better on this than it does on this screen. It scales so much better. Like this is so much bigger of a screen that like it's not funny. Like it's a lot more pleasant of an experience. But I mean that's to be expected with the size differences, and you kind of gotta get yourself to know about what you're getting into. But yeah, GBA looks great on this and has like some pre-installed like custom filter on it with Miyoo, and then it says Game Boy Advance. But yeah, it looks great. Not really gonna get into this whole big intro screen for Aladdin, but yeah. So it runs pretty well. OS is fine. It could be a little faster, but maybe if I had like a better SD card in there that isn't just the stock one it came with. But yeah, it's fine. It's just Onion OS, and it's pretty simple, and it has everything you need, and it's pretty clean. But the only thing, other than the build quality with the buttons, that I didn't really like was just that it still feels like cramped. You know, the screen I think is bigger than the buttons. The place for your hands and your thumbs to for the buttons, and just playing everything feels like cramped, like I'm kind of just like pressing my thumbs together, and then when I'm out in public, like it looks like I'm just like holding this like little tiny thing, and then you know no one can really like tell what I like. Am I using a really tiny phone or like a comically small phone than what my hands should be holding, or like what I'm doing, or um yeah. So like honestly, it's a really really good size, and I would so much prefer this over this, assuming like the buttons or anything are okay like it was when I was testing it. um but like it still kind of left me wanting like just a little bit more. Like you do have to sacrifice a little bit of pocket space more if you do go bigger than this. Like I really liked how it was still like really lightweight, and it takes up more pocket space than this, but lighter, and then it's much easier to play games on this. Like I could actually like finish games on this probably, if they're like a few hours long or something like that, and not be complaining too much. But like the D-pad feels fine, but nothing too quality, I guess. And the buttons are pretty mushy, even when they're like standard stock, like perfect. This, it feels like a little toy gimmick kind of thing, which is fine. Keeps costs down and everything like that. Like this cost me more than this, but also this is out of production, so it's not totally fair. So yeah, I mean that's kind of been my experience with the Miu Flip version 4. I mean it was pretty much what I was expecting, but when I had it, it was kind of like I realized that um, I kind of wanted something a little bit better feeling, if I'm going to be playing it. And I was willing to sacrifice just like a little bit more pocket space. So that brought me to ordering the TrimUI Brick, which is this guy right here, and I got it in white. And this is just to show like the size comparison. So, I mean, the mini is just a tad bit smaller than the brick, but this feels like much more like you have to be conscious about that you're throwing it in your pocket. It's not that it takes up too much space or anything, or it feels uncomfortable, but with this back metal plate on the TrimUI Brick, it adds a lot more heft to it, and it does take up more space. And those are just some things to consider. And I initially didn't want to get this because I thought it would be so much more of a hassle to keep it around like in my pocket and everything, because all the pictures and everything, like it looks like a pretty big like Game Boy standard, but it's not. It's smaller than a Game Boy, and it's really just a little bit bigger than this. But in my opinion, like it is 1,000 times, maybe not 1,000, exaggerating too much, but it's much more comfortable to play on this. Like it feels like a little bit of a heft to it with the back plate, adding the heft. Like it feels like a solid Game Boy, pretty much. Like it's exactly what I wanted like a Game Boy to be like when I was a kid. Uh, I guess it's kind of like a Game Boy Pocket, um, but I don't really have that to test the size or anything. But yeah, so it has a lot more space for my thumbs, which I like. It has a slightly larger screen, which helps with scaling Game Boy Advance. So it just makes things a lot more enjoyable to play. And so I've been carrying this around, and again, I try to cafe and stuff and bring this out, and it looks like a solid like handheld. Like people can see I'm playing on a handheld, and like it's not getting like enveloped by my hands. Like as I'm using it, like it looks like I'm playing a game. Um, and so I have like a little CRT filter or something on this. I haven't played this game yet, so I'm just gonna edit this real quick. Let's see, I have fast forward toggle on. But yeah, I just kind of want to show some Game Boy Advance on this. The screen looks great. I think it's probably the best screen in all of these. I mean, it's also the biggest and has the most real estate. But just colors and everything, like, not that any of these are bad, but it looks this looks really good. Um, let's see. Yeah, and everything feels snappy. And also another thing that is pretty big is just that the buttons feel so good to press. Like this is the perfect D-pad for me, in my opinion. Like it has that nice little click when you press into it, but it's not like too resistive to where you're like getting imprints on your thumbs, which happens to me sometimes when I'm playing some other things. It feels very comfortable, and the buttons are snappy, but they're not loud either. But they have a nice little click to it, and they're not too overly big. Like they're actually smaller than the Miyoo Flips, surprisingly enough. Like yeah, like these are actually bigger, and they feel a lot worse. Like just mushy, and they don't feel very good to press. But this feels like like a Game Boy basically. Like premium build quality and construction, and this was cheaper to buy than the RG Nano, which again is not fair because it's out of production. If it was still in production, it probably would be around the same or cheaper. But in terms of 2026 and beyond, like the TrimUI Brick is cheaper as of now, and feels so much better. It has these like replaceable caps for your triggers, and then I like to map the fast forward and like quick save and everything like that. And then another thing I haven't touched on, but I set this up with MinUI, which took a little bit of a work, but not too bad, following like Retro Game Corp's YouTube channel, his guide for setting up MinUI with this. So again, this isn't the stock firmware that the TrimUI Brick comes with. If anything, I don't even remember what it was like when it came with it, because I pretty much immediately put MinUI on it, and I actually prefer MinUI over using Onion OS in my limited time, because I just like the simplicity of it. I like that you have all the tools. Like you can scrape artwork, you can store your emulators, you can do over the air updates Another thing is this has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and the Mini V4, the Flip Mini or Mini Flip V4 does not have Wi-Fi. I don't remember if it has Bluetooth or not. I don't think so. No, RG Nano also does not have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, I believe, but it has USB-C, so you can plug in your headphones or a Bluetooth adapter or something to connect to it wirelessly. Again, this has that as well, but also has a headphone jack. RG Nano is just too small to have a headphone jack, just take up too much space. So, but yeah, USB-C there. So this also has LEDs that you can customize on here. It has LED bar up here and like two behind the triggers, but I just have it off. Helps some battery life, and I don't care too much for that when it comes to like carrying this around, because it's just gonna be like too distracting when I'm out in public, I feel like. But and that makes me feel uncomfortable, honestly. But yeah, it has sync thing as well, and then of course Wi-Fi, and it's easy to get in settings and change things up, and it's compact and it just works and it looks good, and I like carrying this around a lot more, and this is what like I'm gonna be sticking with as my everyday carry for now. I know they announced some sort of TrimUI Brick Pro, which has like a analog stick. So that looks like it would be a lot worse to have as an everyday carry. So I still feel like there's good value in still picking up a regular brick today. They also have the brick hammer, but it just makes the entire thing metal instead of just this back plate, and I feel like that would just be too hefty. I can't say for certain because I haven't tried it, but that's just the impression I get. I love that this runs PlayStation perfectly well. I've actually been playing a ton of Crash Bandicoot 2, which I haven't played in a long time, except for the first few levels when I'm testing things out. But I've actually been like taking this and using this outside of being just everyday carry. Like I've actually been playing this so much in my just like my room, and just in the house and everything. Like the screen looks really good, and is very comfortable to hold, and really just feels like a Game Boy. And the screen is like a perfect size, so like this is pretty much perfect for me for being an everyday carry. Plus, like wanting to play it outside of that too. Like I don't grab this and feel like well, I have to compromise on something just to play this game. I still have my Thor. So anything that isn't PlayStation 1 or below, I'm using this guy when I'm just playing at home. But again, my biggest wish for the Thor, like a Thor 2, is just for it to be a little bit more compact and pocketable. But that's another story. But I still love that thing. But that's mostly where I'm going to be playing all my stick games, like PS2, Wii U, Secret Console, whatever. And this is where I'm going to be having my PlayStation 1 and below saves and games on. And then I'm going to be having sync thing on this since it runs Wi-Fi, and it can transfer my saves onto the Thor and whatever else I use. So um, at first I thought this was a little bit overhyped when I initially was looking at it, but yeah, no, it's great. So that pretty much sums it up. Uh, so again, if you want to sacrifice a little bit more pocket space, I would definitely go with the TrimUI Brick because it's more comfortable to play on by a lot, and I use it outside of just carrying it around. RG Nano is a fun little gimmick, but it's pretty hefty for being tiny, and it's just way too tiny to be really enjoyable. You know, you can use it one-handed and stuff, but even that is really awkward to hold for me too, because like I have to hold it between like two fingers. Like I'm not really sure like how to hold it because it can't really fit in my palm and still be usable with my thumb. Like it has to sit on like my two fingers there for my thumbs to like reach really. This just feels like awful when I bring it down lower. So yeah. Flip V4 is great for one-handed use. I think this is actually pretty comfortable to hold, just like this. You know, it has support from all my fingers, but um, I'm not too much of a fan of the build quality, and it just left me wanting just a little bit more. I realized that the size wasn't perfect for me. You know, my hands start to like cover it up too much, and then like you can't. Um, you know, I don't know. It just looks awkward to me. I feel like, um, and it's not too comfortable for long play sessions or anything. Like it's not bad. It's not the worst I've tried or anything, but it doesn't make me want to pick it up outside of just having it in my pocket. And TrimUI Brick feels like a quality handheld to carry around, but you're also sacrificing a little bit of pocket space, which can get a bit annoying, honestly, especially if you carry a lot in pockets. But that's a compromise that I've decided to make, and it's honestly not too bad. Like it's really just a smidge bigger than the Flip. Um, yeah, so it's not too bad. But these are pretty square though. Kind of hits in your pocket a little bit, but it's not too bad. Um, I think this is a little bit more rounded and feels a little better, but it's so like small width wise that it's not like hitting against stuff. Like it feels fine. So yeah, those are the 3 handhelds I've been testing out, and leave a comment and let me know what else I should try out. If there's any new handhelds I should be looking into, um, or anything like that. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe so that I know if there's interest in me doing more like this. So yeah, all right, bye.